much everything in between. He finally settled in at the railroad where he's worked as a mechanic for over 15 years. He's also worn many hats there: crew leader, car inspector, engine man, safety chairman, where he carved a niche for himself as an artist, painting murals, illustrating posters, and even designing a safety periodical with a comic strip in the back. He's always been passionate about creating art and is currently on book 2 of a sci-fi trilogy. However, it was through Toastmasters that he first found his voice as a storyteller. I'm so thrilled to have him up here. Please put your hands together for Sean Cobb!
I dedicate this story to my dear friends Jim and Dawn. Well, looks like I've made it. 19 years old. It's 5:30 in the morning on my 19th birthday, and I'm at a park that's near my place, sitting in a little jungle gym, pondering my past, and if I'm lucky, possibly chart out some of my future. These past few years have been really tough for me. I didn't know I'd make it or not. At the age of 13, I lost my dad. My mom passed just a year and a half later, just before my 15th birthday. And my family suffered such a blow from this that it pretty much collapsed into these factions of grudge-holding, non-speaking siblings. But not before they had a chance to take advantage of me at 14 with my Social Security. So by the time I graduated from high school, I had nothing but myself, which was fine, because right now I've got my first job, actually my third job at this point. I've got a car, I have an apartment, and I can finally make the decisions that will affect my life. The world is my oyster. I can dream, I can create, and I can create the existence that I like to have. And so, in the meantime, I had to go to work. And the job I worked at the time was called Gary Steel Products. It made elbows, so sheet metal, you rivet it together, cut it up, put it together, make elbows, ductwork, and whatnot. And what was so cool about that job is I met Jim. Jim is 24, and I'd say he's a cross between, he's part nerd, part asshole. You know, I'd say like Stephen Colbert and Bill Burr. You know, that's Jim in a nutshell, basically. And he opened me up to so much music. Jimi Hendrix. I still have the cassette that he made, the Jimi Hendrix tape that he made for me. Frank Zappa. Don't you eat that yellow snow. And he and his girlfriend Dawn, they were deadheads through and through. And so they had hundreds of cassettes of the Grateful Dead, all these different shows they went to. And so yes, the Grateful Dead is a part of my psyche at this point. What I found funny about the Grateful Dead though, and so it's just been a little dig, is like, okay, it's like they played all these cassettes, and it was like the same 5 or 6 songs. And I swear it was like, the only difference between the cassettes was that they were older and the songs went slower. So it was like, even so, I still love the Grateful Dead. Unfortunately, things went wrong in my living situation, and I found myself needing to move and find some places to get to quickly. And Jim had this suggestion that, you know, I'm living in my girlfriend's basement. She wants, I gotta move out. You should move in with me. Move in here with me in Chesterton. Now, I'm born and raised, I grew up in Gary, Indiana. Chesterton in the 80s and 90s, Valparaiso, no, not for me. And even though I'd never experienced any overt racism at this point in my life, just something about it didn't gel well with me. I mean, I loved Jim, and I knew we'd have a blast together. And so my response was, I don't know, man. I just think that all of that changes if you add my element to the equation. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, we've got this. There's this restaurant we all hang out. Got this huge circle of friends. There's this bar we go to. Everybody's really cool. The owner of the restaurant we go to, he's so cool. He always comes by our table every day. And I was like, yeah, you know, it sounds great. All it sounds so good. But I just think that will all change if you add my element to the equation. I've never said anything like that before. It was almost like it was in my default programming. I don't know. I just knew. And he insisted, and because I loved him so much and I knew we'd have a great time, I trusted and said, you know what, it'll be fine. And there were a lot of micro-transgressions that occurred in the beginning. You know, he couldn't quite prove it. Was it subjective or objective? You know, someone drove by and he yelled something, and I couldn't tell what they said, but I felt like it wasn't nice and it was towards me. But I don't know. Or when I go to the grocery store or go to the gas station and I give you my change and your hands go back. It's like, well, you know, maybe they're kind of germaphobe. It wasn't until the night we got pulled over that it became official. So now we work midnights and he's rushing. He's in the car, he's driving, and he's flying. He rolled a stop sign and this police officer pulls him over. And the cops at his door, at his side, and he's an ass. And he's like, yeah, where your hurry? What's your big hurry? And I'm in the passenger seat, and I'm just sitting there. I was like, please don't look down. Please don't look down. Please don't look down. Please don't look down. And sure enough, leaned down with his flashlight. I'm just sitting there like, hi. He stands back up. Within 5 minutes, there was like 3 or 4 more squad cars there. And they said, they're gonna walk the drug dog around the car. And it was raining that night, I remember that. It was raining. And so I'm sitting in the passenger seat, and I got my head up against the passenger window, and I'm watching, you know, as the dog's coming around, and now the dog is right at my door, and I'm just watching with my head up against the window. And I could see that the dog wanted to keep going, but he was like jerking it, like, are you sure? Are you sure? I saw it. Sure enough, he said, dog detected drugs in the vehicle. Need you guys to get out. We're gonna search the car. So now Jim was off to one side. He had 1 officer with him, 3 of them with me. I better not do a goddamn thing wrong. I mean, I could just tell that they were ready. And they proceeded to take everything out of his car. Everything out. Found nothing. So they put everything back in, sent us on our way. And it was the trip to work that really broke my heart. Because Jim just lost it, screaming off the top of his lungs. What the hell was that all about? They kept asking me if I found you in Gary. They kept asking me if I turn you in, they would let me go. But if they find the drugs in the car, they will both go down. You have a chance now to turn them in. It's your last chance. And I saw Jim's world die that night. He lived in Chesterton all his life, neighborhood bars, all this stuff, and we got along so great, and just best friends. And to see the way they spoke of me like I was some sort of vermin, some stray that he found someplace, really messed him up, and he became really dark and cynical from that point forward. And it continued. I remember one time we went to a bar. We went to a bar and we needed alcohol. We were out of alcohol, we needed alcohol. That was a must. And he's like, okay, Sean, the fridge is just on the other side of the door, the bar is just on the other side of the fridge. Go in, grab a beer, grab a case, pay for it, right out the doors, real quick. Like, okay, cool. I go in there, I swear to God, I go in there and there was a television on the opposite side of the room, and there was a black dude on TV. And as soon as I made eye contact with that, I heard someone go, there's one! I'm like, holy shit. Let me get this stuff and get out of here ASAP. And the final time, the worst time, it was in 1994, and there was a solar eclipse. And so we saw in the news where you can make a little box, and you're able to watch the eclipse without the reflection burning your eyes. And this day, his friend, his wife, girlfriend at the time, Dawn, she saw this and she came with her little gadget, and so we're getting ready to go. And we're walking just past Chesterton High School. And there was three or four kids sitting on the steps, and I was just a little nervous. But we kept going. And we saw one of Dawn's friends were coming the opposite direction, coming towards us. And they recognized each other. And they started just catcalling, just talking about, hey girls, this one's I've seen you, blah, 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 blah. What they did not hear was that one of these kids just said, hey nigger! Jim heard it. I looked over at him. He's red as a beet, like he's ready to explode. He's like, did they just effing say what I think they said? I said, it doesn't matter. I'm 20, you're 25. We lay a finger on any of these underage bastards, they'll bury us under the jail. And so now he's seething mad. Dawn and her friend are talking, and I'm trying to be engaged in this conversation while watching these kids. And I remember they got up and they walked our way. And when they walked by, the hatred, the dirtiness in their faces as they looked at me, like I was like, they hated me. I mean, what got me the most was the girl. Because she could have been no more than about 15 years of age. But she looked at me, all of them did, unblinking, unwavering, and they walked to the end of the block. So what they were going to do is they were going to intercept us once that conversation with Dawn's friend ended and we continued on our way. And as I could hear that the conversation was wrapping up, like, yeah, okay, all right, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, that's ending. And I said, you know what, let's go this way. And Dawn's unaware, she's like, what's going on? Doesn't matter, just let's go this way and talk. Just talk as loud as you can. Let's hold a conversation. So now we're all talking, Jim, Dawn, me and this girl, and Dawn and her friend are like Dawn had tears coming down her eyes. Like, just talk so we can't hear what they're about to start throwing at us. And so we walked away, and eventually, Jim and Dawn got married, and I moved out of Chesterton. And as dark as the story is, of course there's a silver lining. That's a must for me. Chesterton was most certainly my baptism by fire, but it was also where I found my family. Jim, Dawn, they had 3 beautiful nieces, Bryce, Lauren, and Mel, who were 4 or 5 years old at the time. Now they're grown, they're married, their husbands love me. I go there for holidays, and for the better part of 15 years after I moved from Chesterton, that was where I spent my New Year's Eve. I would not be anywhere else but in Chesterton, Indiana, with these people. And so, kind of like the Great Gatsby, it was the best of times, and it was the worst of times. But at the end of it all, I came out of it with a family that is my family to this very day.